Good morning. On behalf of Governor Mark Gordon, welcome to the Wyoming Wildfire Recovery Webinar. My name is Drew Palmer, and I am the Grants Integration Manager for the Governor. So before we get started, we have a few housekeeping items for you. Please mute your computers if you aren't speaking. This webinar will be recorded, and the recording will be posted on our Grants Management Office website. The presentation slides will also be made available, and they will be on the website as well. We will leave time for questions at the end of the presentations, or please put your questions in the chat and we will get to those just as quickly as we can. So let's start with some introductions of our team. With the State Budget Department in the Grants Management Office, we have Christine Emiger, Administrator for the Grants Management Office. Diana Cabriales, who is not with us today, is the Deputy Administrator for the Grants Management Office. And we have our Haggerty team, Rachel Knobloch, who is our Project Manager, Ryan Kristen, Wildfire Recovery Advisor, and Farouz Nazi, our Grant Strategy Advisor. I'd also like to recognize Kate Barlow as Governor Gordon's Policy Advisor for Wildfire. We had a big year this year, and Kate was a big part of that. We are also happy to have our federal partners with us today, and they will be co-presenting on their programs. With the Small Business Administration, we have Nancy Young, Emergency Management Specialist, and Amy Lee, Wyoming District Director. With USDA Rural Development, we have Glenn Polly, Emergency Management Specialist and the Wyoming State Director. With the Natural Resource Conservation Service with USDA, we have Brian Jensen, Emergency Management Specialist and Assistant State Conservationist for Partnerships. And finally, we have USDA Farm Service Agency, Sherry Waynes Wadley, Wyoming State Outreach Coordinator and District Director. We do also want to recognize the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security. And while they will not be presenting today, we are working closely with them as they oversee FEMA disasters and administrate FEMA funds when they are available. So our webinar objectives for today are, we will provide a comprehensive information about the various funding sources available for wildfire recovery. This presentation is going to be specific to private landowners, households, small businesses, and nonprofits impacted by wildfires in Wyoming this year. We're going to connect community members with state and federal partners who are here today, and they stand ready to help affected parties identify and apply for available funding programs. And we will provide a platform for community members to ask questions and learn about resources. So let's get started. Wyoming's 2024 wildfire season was a challenge. More than 2,000 wildfires burned in excess of 850,000 acres across the state of Wyoming, with over 500,000 acres of private surface that was impacted by the wildfires. A clear demonstration of the expanded season with an uptick in fire frequency. Recognizing the urgent need for resources to address ongoing fires and provide essential relief to affected parties, the governor instructed the Grants Management Office to research all federal funding that could support wildfire recovery efforts on private property. So we came together and we started to develop a plan, and our overarching approach to identifying funding for wildfire recovery is broke out into 3 phases. Phase 1, which is the webinar we're giving you today, are federal funding opportunities that support private landowners, households, small businesses, or nonprofits. Phase 2, which we'll be rolling out shortly, identifies federal funding programs that may support Wyoming state agencies and local governments. And then finally, phase 3, we will identify federal funding programs that support wildfire preparedness, planning, response, and mitigation efforts across Wyoming. The Grants Management Office identified 18 funding programs that could be possibly help you with wildfire recovery. Under the USDA, we identified 4 loan programs and 12 grants, all of which we're going to talk about today. And under the Small Business Administration, we identified 2 loan programs. Right now, there are currently no FEMA programs available that we have qualified for. Disaster recovery programs have specific eligibility criteria and may only be available to applicants located in specific areas or counties included in an official disaster declaration. So today we're going to provide contact information for you for these programs and ensure that you have the ability to reach out for assistance in answering your questions for eligibility and also in filling out the applications and submitting them to the federal agencies. In addition to this, the Grants Management Office, with our partners at Hagerty, created the Wyoming Wildfire Recovery Guide. This guide summarizes federal funding programs for phase 1 and you may be able to apply for directly. They provide a brief summary of each funding program that we will go through with you today. They provide contact information for each program, and they provide guidance on determining eligibility and assistance. In addition, the Grants Management Office has developed a wildfire recovery resources webpage, which you will find on our website as well. And this is specific funding opportunities available for consideration. So for those of you that are not familiar with the Grants Management Office, and this is your first webinar with us, we welcome you. And I will now turn the presentation over to Christine to talk a little bit about the services that the Grants Management Office provides. Christine.
Thank you very much, Drew, and thank you everyone that is participating in today's webinar. We are really excited to be able to release some of these resources and information today. The Wyoming Grants Management Office supports the Governor Gordon's Grants Management Initiative. It is a top priority for Governor Gordon, and he has dedicated significant time, resources, and efforts towards its success. The Grants Management Office is located and housed within our state budget department. And myself, along with Diana Caprialis, work very closely with Drew Palmer and the governor's office to lead this initiative. The main purpose of the Grants Management Initiative and the office that supports it is to increase Wyoming's access to federal funding and build grants management capacity across the state. Next slide, please. Real quickly, we have a whole slew of stakeholders, but the Wyoming Grants Management Initiative supports local governments, tribal governments and organizations, small businesses, nonprofits, our own state agencies, and what we have called as the Wyoming IWG, the Interworking Group. And that is a group that meets on a biweekly basis with federal and state partners to update everyone about what funding opportunities may be available. If you are interested in participating in that meeting or just sitting in every other week, please communicate with the State Budget Department Grants Management Office, and we will get you added to the invitation. Next slide, please. Our Grants Management Office goals look very similar to our wildfire goals. We want to identify and pursue federal resources to support Wyoming's priorities. Today, that is dedicated to wildfire resources and funding opportunities or funding mechanisms. Number 2 is to provide technical assistance across the state to support the full range of activities associated with grants management. So from the point of identification of a possible funding source, all the way through the development of the application, all the way through securing those funds and making sure that they get out the door. And third, but it is last but not least, is we want to make sure that we build a lasting capacity to plan for, pursue, execute, and manage grants, especially when it comes to wildfire funding opportunities. Next slide, please. Next, we are going to hear about some of the federal programs that are offered to the state of Wyoming. I want to caveat that these programs are available per the last wildfire season. So this is going to be a living, breathing exercise of maintenance for us here in the Grants Management Office. So if another wildfire happens next summer or next wildfire season, the funding opportunities will be updated. And if there are new or available resources that are in place, we will have them dedicated and the resources posted on our Grants Management Wildfire Recovery Resources webpage. And now I'm going to hand it off for the next person to speak about our federal opportunities.
Glenn, I think you're next on the list.
All right. Well, Drew, thank you very much for having me here. My name is Glenn Pauley. I'm State Director for USDA Rural Development. USDA Rural Development has a lot of programs. We work in affordable housing, in business programs, and community facilities. I'm going to narrow down my talk today in relationship to programs that are most applicable to disaster situations. As our name says, we operate in rural areas. We have a lot of programs. Overall, our limitation is we cannot work in towns that have a population larger than 50,000. The programs I'm going to mention today have a cap for communities of 10,000 or less, there are some exceptions in Campbell County. The first one I want to talk to about is our 504 home repair program. This is a program that typically provides both grants and loans for home repair. At the moment, we do not have funding for the grant side, but the loan side remains intact. For this program, it can provide loans up to $40,000. They are targeted at low-income individuals. The individuals that qualify for that or what is considered low income varies by municipalities, but it typically is an income of for a household of 40,000 or less. What this program can be used for is any type of repair that addresses health and safety issues in the house. That's interpreted quite broadly, so that can be new roof, new floors. We do a lot of repairs for homes and for seniors to keep them retain their ability to live in the home. So that might mean upgrading a bathroom or making it ADA accessible, but definitely for a home that would receive fire damage, this would qualify. We cannot do just cosmetic repairs, though. It really has to be for something to keep an individual in the house and to maintain that house in a real safe and sanitary conditions. The loan itself are 1% interest for 20 years is what we can provide. The other program that I would like to bring attention to is our Emergency Community Water Assistance Grant Program. And what individuals really need to know about this program, it's both for recovery from an emergency, but also to prepare for an emergency. And the entities that qualify for this are local governments, nonprofits, and federally recognized tribes. Another qualification that must be met is there needs to be demonstration that the water quality or quantity is in decline, or there's going to be the significant decline in water quality or quantity is intimate. But it includes addressing and preparing for all types of disasters. Again, like the program that I mentioned before, the community has to have 10,000 individuals or less to qualify. There's two ways individuals can apply. There's a $150,000 grant, and that's for the construction or the extension or the repair of water lines or any type of maintenance of a line where it's really necessary to replenish the water supply. The other part of the grant that can be applied to is $1 million. And this is really to protect water sources. So it's focused on new wells, the construction of reservoirs, water transmission lines, or water treatment plants. For this program, no matching funds are required, but they are definitely encouraged. Those are the ones that I want to draw focus to today. That was just a really brief overview. I do have Jessica Taylor, who is our program director. She's will be available to answer questions, and so will I. But thank you for the opportunity for speaking. And if there's anything that we can do, please give us a call. We would enjoy working with you and also working with our federal partners.
Thank you, Glenn. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of questions coming in the next few weeks and months. We're now going to hear from the Farm Service Agency representative, Sherry Waynes-Wadley.
Thank you. We appreciate having the opportunity to speak with you guys today about programs that Farm Service Agency has to offer. Probably our biggest program right now that's on the ground and running is the Emergency Conservation Program. This program has a $500,000 per person limit. It is a cost share program. It includes everything you need for debris removal, fence restorations, that's new fences, repairing fences that were all affected by the wildfire. This program is in effect right now in our counties that had the major fires. Signups are going on right now. Funding is being approved. So if you know anyone that is in need of fence repair, debris removal, any of those types of things, this is the program that is on the ground and running presently. The Emergency Forest Restoration Program, we don't have much of that's affected in the wildfire areas this year, but it is a program that's available, as well as the farm storage facility loan. If there were any barns or any type of facilities, not housing, but farm storage facilities, basically, that were destroyed, we can help with building new structures under the farm storage facility loan program. Next slide, please. Thank you. The livestock forage program is also came into effect. The entire state at this point is eligible for the livestock forage program due to drought. Obviously, the drought caused the wildfires to go rampant in a lot of our areas this year. We are currently taking applications for the livestock forage program for 2024. This program has a $125,000 maximum payment. To be eligible for this program, you have to go into our county offices, claim how many head of livestock you had during the program year, and the acres that you were actually grazing. And we pay on the lesser of the feed needs of your livestock versus the feed availability on owned land, leased land. You are required to provide leases for any land that you are leasing. This is a pretty easy, quick program to get funding for right now. So if someone is interested in that one, that's a sign up we have going on. Sign up for that ends January 31st. So please call your county offices and get signed up for that program. The non-insured assistance program. This program may or may not be in effect in some of your offices. It is all dependent on the actual grazing loss assessments that were provided, and those have not all been turned in for the state. Our state committee is meeting this week to look at some of those to see if we have counties that are eligible for the non-insured assistance program right now. I could tell you more about that in a week from now. Also, the emergency assistance for livestock, honeybees, and farm-to-raised fish program. That one is really came into effect with this wildfire season. We can assist in reimbursing you to get livestock to a different place. So that's moving your livestock to grazing. It's hauling feed to your livestock. It's either hauling feed to your livestock or your livestock to feed, whatever that situation may be because of the wildfires. Next page, please. Also, the Conservation Reserve Program, that's only eligible for folks that currently have land in the conservation program. Emergency hanging grazing has kicked in due to the wildfires. The Tree Assistance Program, again, it kicks in because of the wildfires, but we don't have any orchardists or nursery tree growers in that area. Next slide, please. Livestock Indemnity Program. This program has also came into effect with the wildfires. It takes into account livestock deaths due to the wildfires in excess of normal mortality. We can actually make payments for any type of livestock that was that died due to the wildfires. Also, the emergency farm loan programs. It came into effect with the secretarial disaster designations. And that is a maximum of $500,000. We have other loans also that are available that have nothing to do with the disaster designation itself, but the interest rates may be a little bit lower than the emergency loan program. So if someone is needing a loan to rebuild, whether that's the fences, the operation, whatever that looks like due to the wildfires, our farm loan teams will definitely help you with which loan program best fits your needs. There's nothing in the slide about this, but all of our programs can be found on farmers.gov. So please feel free to look anything up on farmers.gov. Most counties have a Farm Service Agency office as well as an NRCS office. So the beginning of these slides had a link to finding your service center, and service centers can be Googled, whatever your county is, and we will make sure that you get assistance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sherry. I know there's a lot of great information in there, and we really want you all to call us or call your federal agency and see if you can apply for these programs. Fencing has been a big issue, so we want you to be able to take advantage of that. Just as a reminder, all of this information is going to be on the Grants Management Office website, and there will also be contact information available. So if you didn't get it written down, you will be able to gather all of this information, including the presentation and the recordings, on our Grants Management Office website. So now we're going to turn it over to Brian Jensen with USDA NRCS. Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Drew, and good morning, everybody. As Drew mentioned, my name is Brian Jensen. I'm the Assistant State Conservationist for Partnerships with Wyoming NRCS. I'm Wyoming Natural Resources Conservation Service. I'm personally based in our state office in Casper, but we do have field staff similar to FSA scattered throughout the state. We have field offices in almost every county in the United States, and so that's always the best place to start to get assistance from us, but my contact info will be provided to you, and you're welcome to reach out to me as well, and I can help you out through that process. But before I've been asked to talk about a couple programs we have that could be helpful for post-fire recovery. But before I did that, I just wanted to quickly give an overview of NRCS in case folks weren't familiar with us and how we operate. As we are a little bit different than some of these other groups in that we're not strictly a granting entity, we're actually a technical agency that likes to work one-on-one with ag producers to address natural resource concerns on their property. As I mentioned, we have field staff in every county in Wyoming. Those are traditionally like soil conservationists, range conservationists, those types of people. But we like to get on the ground with our ag producers and help them address issues on their property. We develop a conservation plan with them, and that's unique to their operation and their goals and the issues they're facing there. And so that general process will apply to the programs I'm going to talk about. That's how we're going to interact with folks is go out on the ground with them, look at their operation, figure out what they need. Go ahead, next slide, please. And yeah, through that, I mean, you'll hear our planners talk about resource concerns, those types of things. Most ag producers talk about practices that they need, whether it's fence or whatever, to implement them. In the background, our folks are saying, this practice can help address this resource concern. Through our field office tech guide, which is available online to anybody, it's a great technical resource for folks. And I encourage you to look it up if you're interested. There is a list in section 4 of the 167 total practices that we offer as an agency. That can be a little overwhelming, I understand. And when we're talking about post-wildfire recovery for folks, I think we're generally talking about just a subset of practices there. And some of those are listed there. I'm sorry, got some.
I think we've lost our presentation.
Yeah, I lost the presentation. Okay, I guess everybody else did too. Okay, do you want me to pause or?
Here it comes. Here it comes. Okay. Yeah, just keep talking, Brian.
Okay.
They'll get it back up. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, it's likely just a subset of our practices, probably some of the most common ones there. One other one I'd throw on there is our prescribed grazing or grazing management practice, where we can actually pay for deferment through that program as well. But anyway, those plans will be developed with the landowner, and it'll be unique to their operation and what they actually need. It is worth noting that each of our practices has implementation requirements that have to be met for us to then reimburse you part of the cost of that of those practices. Go ahead, next slide, please. Now, with that very quick background, I'll jump into a couple programs that we offer that are being utilized for post-fire recovery, or could be. And the first one is kind of our bread and butter program. I think most ag people are somewhat familiar with it. It's our environmental quality incentive program, or what we like to call EQIP. We've had that program for many years now, since the early 80s. And I like to say it's our most intuitive program, in that, you apply this practice and we'll pay you for the implementation of it, a subset of that cost. Generally, we're talking about us covering about 75% of those costs. But the basic eligibility is a private ag producer, which is very vague and broad. Basically, if you produce any sort of ag commodity, you'll qualify. And then recently, we've added this water management entity group, which is basically, in Wyoming, I'd like to think of that as irrigation districts, those types of groups that manage water for a number of people. This year, for FY25, which we just started, we have approximately $35 million in total EQIP funds available across the state. That money is divvied up into different sub-accounts based on different geographies, different resource concerns that we're targeting, how that money comes to us. Some of it's federally or at the national level, we're told to put it in this, and then some of it's more towards local sub-accounts that actually go to the county level. So don't get too worked up about that. Again, just come see your local field office and they'll help you decide what's right for you. The one thing I did want to highlight specifically is the Act Now sub-account. Act Now in general is kind of new to us. It's a way for us to try to get funding out the door quicker, contracts written faster. But specifically, we have 5 sub-accounts under Act Now this year, and one of them is specific to wildfire recovery. And we've placed $4 million in that account currently. And through that program, general EQIP, that we usually have 1 or 2 what we call batching timelines a year. So basically, we determine funding once or twice a year. Under Act Now, we can speed that up quite a bit. Basically, we have this fund in there, and if you meet a threshold value within that fund, well, we can automatically fund you right away until that fund is fully exhausted. And so generally, we're talking about getting contracts written in a matter of weeks rather than a matter of months or a year or something like that under general EQIP. There is a subset of practices available under each one of those Act Now accounts. I list some of them there for Act Now post-fire recovery. Again, I think this is the most common stuff that ag producers are interested in right now: fence, water development, weed treatment, seeding, deferment, those types of things would be eligible there. But do know that there's other funding available if Act Now isn't right for you as well. We have other EQIP accounts and other programs as well. Go ahead, next slide, please. And now, kind of totally switching gears, I'm going to talk about a much different program, the Emergency Watershed Protection Program, or like what we like to call EWP. Go ahead, next slide. This program is much different than EQIP, namely in that the eligible entity is completely different, and the process is also quite a bit different. But as the name implies, EWP is designed to provide technical and financial assistance following an emergency declaration. However, with this program, that declaration can come in a number of ways. It's not just simply a presidential declaration or something. My boss, our state conservationist, Jackie Byam, she can actually designate local emergencies. So that might be a single watershed or something like that. But then it can go all the way up to a federal disaster from the president or the secretary, something like that. But once we have that, we can pursue assistance with those issues. But the real thing here is that specifically NRCS is tasked with addressing flooding and erosion concerns that accompany a natural disaster. And certainly that can happen post wildfire. If we get a big runoff event post fire, those soils are much more susceptible to runoff, erosion, those types of things. And so we can assist with that through this program. And there's kind of the process there. Again, you work with your local people. For that first contact, they'll bring in specialists from generally here in our state office. Our state conservation engineer runs this program. They'll go out on site and look at the issue and decide whether it's eligible or not, and then start the process of requesting funding. Next slide, please. Again, a whole slew of practices can be eligible here, but kind of some typical recovery measures that we utilize. Erosion sediment control, stream bank protection, structure protection, flood dissipation type things, debris removal. We have had quite a bit of EWP activity in Wyoming over the years. Some you may or may not know is actually EWP. The landslide work up in Sheridan was funded through EWP. We've had several EWP projects on particular streams and rivers. The KC flood work was done with EWP, some stuff in southern Wyoming as well, but much different program, pretty specific to flood related issues. Go ahead, next slide. The other thing with it, as I mentioned, the eligible entity is actually different, and an individual can't just come apply for this program, but certainly come talk to our field offices and they can get you in contact with people that might be eligible entities. There's a list there of eligible sponsors. Traditionally in Wyoming, the most common sponsor has been municipalities, the city of Sheridan, city or the town of KC, those types of things, but it can be a variety of things, including the state. And there's specific responsibilities of that entity that they need to adhere to. Basically they got to have skin in the game. They have to be willing to help with the cost, because again, we generally can't pay for everything involved in the recovery. And they need to have be committed to some longer term operation and maintenance costs associated with the implementation, because we don't do that either as an entity or as an agency. But yeah, it's a great program. The other thing worth noting with EWP is like some of the programs Glenn was talking about, there's currently no funding available for EWP. Now, I heard just on the news this morning, the Congress is working on another continuing resolution, and there's some stuff in there tied to the Farm Bill, so maybe there'll be some funding available. But regardless of that, if you have a potential issue, please come see our field offices. We can start the process of doing the damage survey report, those types of things. Once we have that done and we have an entity that's a sponsor or a potential sponsor identified, we can put it in the queue basically, and it'll be sitting there in a wait list. And then if Congress does allocate some funding to EWP, it's ready to go, and we can move forward with planning, design, and implementation of whatever is needed to protect that watershed. Next slide, please. And that's kind of the quick and dirty of it. There's a lot more details, obviously, but feel free to reach out to me. There's a QR code that is how to find our local service center. As Sherry mentioned, it's basically the same. We're usually co-located with FSA, not always, but most of the time. If you hit that QR code or go to that website, you can find your local service center. But if you have more general questions or would just like to chat further, feel free to give me a shout as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Brian. A lot of good information. And I want to emphasize what Brian said. If programs, federal funding programs, are not funded currently, still look into them, talk to your federal agencies, still apply, talk to the grants management office, because as funding becomes available, you'll be in the queue. So don't let that discourage you. And yes, yesterday was a nice announcement that maybe we might get some of these programs funded in the continuing resolution. So that's wonderful. So next up, we're going to turn it over to the Small Business Administration, Amy Lee. Amy, are you on?
Yes, actually,
There
I'd
you
like
are.
to introduce my colleague, Nancy Young, who will be presenting on behalf of the agency. She's a disaster recovery specialist. But here in Wyoming, we have the SBA Wyoming District Office. We're based in Casper and serve the whole state. And so we're here to assist with whatever you may need. And with that, I'll turn it over to Nancy. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you,
Thank
Amy. That was
you,
probably
Amy.
my confusion, so I apologize to both Amy and Nancy. Nancy, we'll turn the floor over to you.
That's all right. I'm Nancy Young, an emergency management specialist with the Small Business Administration. Thank you for the opportunity to share this valuable information today. SBA has 2 loan programs available as a result of the wildfires. Physical disaster loans can provide funds to repair and replace disaster damaged property, and economic injury disaster loans, or EIDL loans, EIDL, provide working capital to help meet ordinary and necessary financial obligations that cannot be met as a direct result of the disaster. Wyoming currently has 3 open SBA disaster declarations for wildfires. One is a SBA Presidential Declaration for Public Assistance. The other 2 declarations are SBA Secretary of Agriculture declarations. Next slide, please. The wildfires from August 21 through 31 resulted in a FEMA presidential declaration of a major disaster for public assistance for Campbell and Johnson counties. The SBA declaration is automatic after a FEMA PA declaration. SBA then offers physical and EIDL disaster loans to private nonprofit organizations, or PNPs, that provide non-critical but essential services of a government nature. When it comes to private nonprofits, think critical and non-critical. PNPs, which are deemed a critical service, may apply directly to FEMA during their application period for uninsured disaster-related expenses and or damages to the facility. Examples of a critical service are education, utilities, communication systems, emergency, and medical. PNPs that provide non-critical services must first apply to SBA and exhaust SBA loan assistance or be declined by SBA before they can request FEMA grant assistance. Examples of non-critical PNPs are museums, libraries, houses of worship, homeless or battered spouse shelters, child, senior, or daycare centers, community centers, rehab facilities, food banks, and zoos. SBA may lend eligible PNPs up to $2 million for economic injury or to repair or replace disaster damaged or destroyed property such as real estate, machinery and equipment, inventory, and other business assets. SBA's disaster loan program offers an important advantage: the chance to incorporate measures that can reduce the risk of future damage. This is an opportunity to request additional disaster loan funds for proactive mitigation improvements. The interest rate is 3.25% for up to 30 years with no interest accruing or loan repayment until 12 months from the date of the first disaster loan disbursement. FEMA public assistance and SBA disaster loans both have deadlines, so it is recommended and okay that you apply to both simultaneously. January 13th of 25 is the deadline to apply for physical damage loans, and August 13th of 25 is the deadline to apply for an economic injury disaster loan for this disaster. Applicants to SBA may apply online, and questions can be directed to SBA's Disaster Assistance Customer Service Center by phone or by email to 1-800-659-2955 or dial 711 to access telecommunications relay services, or they can email disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. There are 2 other wildfire declarations in Wyoming from June 11th incidents, and applications are still being accepted. Next slide. These declarations are not presidential. Next slide. But instead Secretary of Agriculture declarations. SBA's declaration is automatic once we receive written notification of the Secretary of Agricultural declaration, and it includes primary counties and contiguous counties that surround those primary counties. This type of declaration is for economic injury only and is available to small businesses, small agricultural cooperatives, small businesses engaged in aquaculture, and most private nonprofit organizations. For the primary and contiguous counties shown on this slide, the application deadline is June 16th of next year. And next slide. A deadline of 2 years, a deadline of June 2nd of next year for the declaration with the primary and contiguous counties shown here. These are the 3 active SBA wildfire declarations in Wyoming and the disaster loan programs that are available. Please note that an applicant can have more than one SBA disaster loan. If someone has an SBA COVID EIDL loan or a disaster loan from a prior disaster, it does not prevent them from applying for a new disaster. On October 15th of this year, it was announced that funds for the SBA disaster loan program had been fully expended. While no new loans can be issued until Congress appropriates additional funding, we remain committed to supporting the disaster survivors. Applications will continue to be accepted and processed so that these entities are in the queue and prepared to receive assistance once funding becomes available. Please see the Wyoming Wildfire Recovery Guide for contact information or go to sba.gov to learn more about SBA disaster assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. There's a lot of programs. So we're going to move into the Q&A now. I just want to remind people, if you're unfamiliar with the programs, please reach out because there may be opportunities and situations where you might qualify for more than one grant or loan. So you may be able to blend and braid opportunities if there are multiple places where you may be eligible. So I'll have everybody, all the speakers come back on screen, please, and you can help me field some questions. Bruce, would you like to get us started on questions today? I think I saw some in the Q&A. And if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A.
Please do. Please put the questions in the Q&A. We do have one already. This question is there any talk about future coal seam fire assistance? And the questioner also says that these cause grass fires of the landscape for years, if not dealt with immediately. They're extremely expensive to deal with and very dangerous. And I think if any other federal colleagues would like to answer this question, I think we can have them speak, but Ryan also may have a primer to deal with this question. We can also, of course, research this question in further detail after the webinar.
Thank you, Farouz. Ryan, do you have any insight for us? You actually were my first thought too.
Thank you both. And I'll just mention that coal seam fires, they're extremely challenging, burning underground. They can burn for decades. Generally, what we're presenting here in this webinar is programs that are geared more towards the acute situation of recent disasters and the immediate funding opportunities for those. So as coal seam fires emerge, break through to ground level, and they do have the potential to spark wildfires, fires perhaps in the urban interface, then we start getting into these programs and these opportunities we're talking about. As far as efforts to extinguish, manage, mitigate the impacts of the coal seam fires, it wouldn't be appropriate for any of our panelists to speculate on that, just specifically due to the complex nature of those. So hopefully that provides a little bit additional insight specific to that question.
Thank you, Ryan. Christine, do you have more to add?
Yes, just real quickly. We did not include this in our research initially, but you bring up a really, really good point, and we can do some additional research in regard to that specific instance and see what opportunities might be available.
Yes, and again, any new funding opportunities that continue to come up, we will update our Grants Connect hub with the information that you're seeing on the screen. Peruse, more questions.
Yes, and I'll just note that the individual who posed the question about the coal fire seams has also provided some additional information. So Christine, when we do that research, we'll have that local context and the geography for the affected areas. We do have another question. This person is saying, we own a sawmill in Evanston, Wyoming, and lost logs due to a wildfire that was in Utah. Can you still help us with that, even though the fire was in Utah?
Who would like to field that? I think for federal funding, it's going to apply to any state, not just Wyoming. Is that correct? Are there some federal partners that would like to field that question? Seeing no federal partners who would like to field the question.
I'll give it a go,
Thanks.
Drew. What
you.
we can do at SBA is we can do some research to see if the fires in Utah may have been covered by an economic injury disaster declaration there. We have not done that research in preparation for this call, but we can take a look into that. If we can get contact information for the person interested in that, we'll try to provide that information.
Great. And I think that that's a standard answer probably for USDA as well, is we can provide the contact information for you for their partners in Utah. And certainly if you have questions about eligibility, you can contact us or contact the federal partner, and we'll try to help you answer that. Bruce.
Yes, I'll just add that we'll include the SPD grants inbox email address in the chat, and I'll have one of my colleagues do that right now. So Jennifer, the person who posed this question, please feel free to reach out to us on that email address, and then we can connect you to partners and with other research down the line.
Thank you.
Going to the next question. This is a clarification question. The person's asking, does the Grants Management Office have funding available for landowners related to wildfires? And I think, Drew, or Christine, this is a perfect question for either of you.
Yes, the Grants Management Office doesn't actually have money. We assist you in finding federal or state funds for your situation. Christine, can you provide some additional clarification?
Actually, that you said everything that I was going to say, Drew. We can find them the money or a funding mechanism, and if we need to, we will work with federal and state partners to identify the appropriate funding mechanisms that would help remediate that problem.
And just a reminder for those that aren't familiar with the Grants Management Office, we're here to help you. So if there are funding opportunities that you are eligible for, we are here to help you write your grant, review your grant. We will even help you with managing the life cycle of your grant, with reporting, monitoring, and auditing. So we can help you with all of those things, and we can work with our federal partners where federal funding opportunities apply. And we can also help you determine if there are multiple grants or loans that could apply to your situation. The only thing we do not do, we do not tell you what to apply for. That is your decision. Outside of that, we'll help you manage whatever we can. So Firuz, I'll bet we have a couple more questions.
Indeed, we do. Somebody's asking, regarding fences lost during fires, it sounds like there is potential funding through both FSA and NRCS. Any guidance on which one to pursue first, or ways to combine them in the most useful way?
Who would like to take that first? Brian?
Yeah, I guess I can take a stab at it, and Sherry can jump in here as well. I think our general guidance has been, reach out to FSA first through their ECP program. That funding is pretty much guaranteed, and they have a lot more flexibility. She talked about it briefly, but they can actually pay to repair existing fences. Through our program, we really can't do that. We're gonna have to build a new fence type of deal that meets our specs, and so there's maybe a little more flexibility there. But obviously there's payment limitations in both programs, and we know there's producers that lost tens if not hundreds of miles of fence, and so they might actually max out on the payment they can receive from FSA. Then they could potentially work with us on stuff. But honestly, again, it's, as Drew mentioned, it's up to you as a rancher who you want to work with and how to work through that process. But again, where we're generally co-located, another good opportunity is just come into our office, and I think our local folks will help you make that decision on what makes sense for you the best. But there is a little more flexibility in their program, and maybe the timeline is even a little quicker than ours. But anything you want to add there, Sherry?
Yes, I totally agree with everything Brian said. we have that flexibility, but we also have some stipulations that once you get approved, you've got like a year to get it done. So if you've got, again, that tens of hundreds of acres or miles of fence, you may not be able to get all that done within a year, especially coming into the winter season when you can't get T-post into the ground or whatever kind of fence you're trying to rebuild. We're suggesting for if it's an emergency that I have to get this fence up immediately to keep my livestock safe and keep them off the roads, that you apply for FSA's ECP program, the Emergency Conservation Program. Those things that can take a little bit longer, that you've got 2 or 3 years, by all means, apply for the EQIP program within RCS. We'll work together with both agencies trying to get you as much assistance as possible. Both of them are good programs. Like Brian said, ours is a little bit more guaranteed as far as funding for ECP, but you've got to be able to get on it and get on it pretty quick and get through the program.
Thanks, Sherry. So the good news is you might have options. Don't let them go by. Explore them and take the next step of putting in the application if you're eligible. That's sometimes that's where we get hung up, as we have available funds, but they go underutilized because we're not applying and taking that next step to apply for those programs. We have a few more minutes, Farouz, for some more questions. What do you have?
Yeah, we've gotten this question before. It's that it goes like this. My business or land was not burned by the wildfires, but I lost business income and revenue because of the wildfires. Blocked roads, lost revenue, etc. But do any of the funding opportunities that we discussed today help with that sort of situation?
Who would like to field that question?
So I'd be happy to
Sure.
field it.
Thanks, Nancy.
They definitely want to go with the economic injury disaster loan with SBA. They just need to find their declaration, make sure they're a primary or contiguous county in it. And absolutely, that's what economic injury is for, when you have a loss of business due to a disaster and you need working capital. So please look up your declaration and apply soon.
Thank you. Any other information that anyone wants to add to that?
I want to add to what Nancy said. If you need those disaster declarations and having a hard time finding them, our FSA website has all those declarations for this year posted on it. There's other places also, but I do know that our Wyoming FSA website has the current declarations on it.
Thank you. And we will have all this information posted on the Grants Management Office website, and you can reach out to us as well, and we'll direct you to the appropriate agencies in your area. Couple more minutes, Farouz. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, we have another question about fencing, and this is a question for NRCS. Are any funds available for virtual fencing if a rancher affected by a fire is interested in trying out that technology?
Yeah, you can't go to any talk these days without talking about virtual fence. So, but yes, we have added virtual fence in our as a payment scenario. It's in our cost list. So that is an option a landowner could consider. Certainly, we're telling people to be a little cautious with that new technology. It's expensive. There's lots of unknowns, but yes, we're there and we're able to help with it, and we'll try to walk you through and put you in contact with local virtual fence providers that can provide you a little bit more information about, how well it'll work, what might be worth considering, what might not. So yeah, but it is an option for sure.
That's
And
good news. Sherry, yeah.
With FSA, it's not an option. Our ECP program requires you to build fence back like it was prior to the disaster designation.
Thank you for that clarification. I think we have time for one more question, Farouz, or two.
And we just received one more, or two more rather.
Great.
This question goes as the following. It sounds like there are several options available for municipalities impacted. So what might be the best route to go for looking for funding to mitigate impacts and also to prepare for the future? For example, water plant upgrades, new water source wells, etc.
Who can help me start that conversation?
Drew, this is Glenn Pauly. We definitely have programs that can help. I mentioned earlier that we do have that disaster program that provides grants both for responding to a disaster and preparing for the disaster. If those programs don't work, water, wastewater and solid waste is one of our principal areas of focus. So we'd be glad to check out all the programs that would help meet that community's needs.
Thank you, Glenn. I did see Ryan come on. Did you have any additional information, Ryan?
I did, thank you. I just want to mention that for municipalities, for public entities, specifically in Campbell and Johnson counties, there is a presidential disaster declaration in place, coordinating through Wyoming Office of Homeland Security will help with accessing the public assistance program, which is geared towards providing additional opportunities for municipalities and those public entities.
Thank you, Ryan. Brian, did you have anything to add?
Just real quick, yeah, I just wanted to mention that as far as mitigating potential impacts, I mean, EWP would be our program for that I mentioned briefly. We've been on site on a few places already that are have the potential to have impacts to municipal water supplies as far as mitigating runoff into those, water collection areas for towns, villages, those types of things. So we may be able to assist with the mitigating part of it anyway.
Thank you. Farouz, we would have time for one more short question if you have one, and if not, we'll go to wrap up.
There is a question about proactive fire mitigation, and this questioner asks what funding is available to homeowners or volunteer fire departments for proactive fire mitigation?
Who can help us with that? Ryan, do you have anything on that?
Actually, yes. So part of proactive fire mitigation would fall within FEMA's hazard mitigation program. There are funds available anytime there is a presidential disaster declaration with public assistance. So we do have funding that will become available with the PA declaration for Campbell and Johnson counties. And then additionally, as we continue with some of the research and opportunity scans we're doing, we'll be releasing additional information through Wyoming GMO, specifically for planning, preparedness, and mitigation for wildfire impacts.
Thank you, Ryan. Glenn, can you add any additional information?
Yes, our community facilities program has a small grants program. So one of the things that we fund is first responder skiers. So we have helped to fund fire trucks, brush trucks, those types of things in Wyoming.
Thank you. Christine.
Hey, just wanted to follow up on the comments and the resources and information that Ryan just spoke about. When it comes to FEMA opportunities, we would direct those questions to the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security. They are the know-all be-all whenever it comes to those FEMA funds. So we definitely want to keep them in the loop if that is an option that might be considered.
Thank you. All right, we're going to wrap up. I do want to just repeat that this is phase 1 of our wildfire recovery program, or our wildfire recovery efforts. Phase 2 will focus on funding opportunities geared towards state agencies and local governments. And then phase 3 will be looking at that longer term approach. So we are looking we're looking forward on wildfire recovery for not just this year, but for years to come and decades to come. I just want to say thank you to everybody, and a special thanks to our federal partners for joining us today. I think it's wonderful that we were able to put faces with names and understand that you are our contacts in the state of Wyoming, and the Grants Management Office is happy to work with you on all of these projects. So we appreciate you joining us today. Christine, do you have anything else on next steps that we should look forward to?
No, but please stay tuned. Thank you all for your attendance today. Whenever I say stay tuned, you don't have to remember every single thing that was presented in this webinar today. There are people, there are resources, there are subject matter experts that we have included today for a reason. Do not hesitate to ask a question. Do not hesitate to reach out to anybody if you need assistance. That is exactly why we are standing up this resource in our state. Thank you all for your attendance today. Drew, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thank you, everybody. Please apply. This is why the governor stood up the Grants Management Initiative with the Grants Management Office. Please take advantage of the resources that we're offering for you for free and the access to our federal partners. Happy holidays, travel safe, and we'll see you all in 2025.